Hunter Nemechek, man, we heard about him all year on the Xfinity Series last year. What about J.H. Nemechek, thriving or diving?
Yeah, I got to go Thrive. You know, he went to the Cup Series a few years ago for Front Row Motorsports, but, you know, felt like he was rushed. Now he got that Truck Series year under his belt, Xfinity Series last year. He's up, going to be teammates with Eric Jones. I think they have the chance to get both cars in the playoffs this year. I'm going to go Thrive.
Justin Haley. Does Justin Haley, we'll switch it up, dive or thrive?
I'm gonna say dive, just because Rick Ware Racing really still finding their footing. They have a lot to prove now. To get a full-time driver with experience like Haley has at bigger teams as well, that's going to be amazing for them. But I don't think they're going to do anything special this year. I think this is more of kind of a long-term deal where we see maybe in 25, 26, Rick Ware Racing really start to step it up.
And you kind of prefaced this earlier, but we'll go back to Noah Gragson here, thriving or diving in 2024.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Thrive, just because I know that he'll definitely have a better year than he did last year in the Cup Series for sure. And so I think they'll thrive and have it kind of a year to build on, hopefully, into years future. Because, you know, no matter how rough last year was, he has proven he can get checkered flags, he can win races. I think they'll have a solid year. All
right. Then James asks another question. He wants to know, when do you expect JR Motorsports to jump into the Cup Series?
Man, yeah, this has kind of been a burning question every year, is like, when will they make the jump? And, I mean, you're looking at a series that has more competitive teams than it really ever has. The charters, we know that they're worth a ton in the NASCAR Cup Series, but we also don't know what's going to happen with those charters. You know, it's been coming out in the last few days that the time for that agreement has kind of expired, and we really don't know what's going to happen. So, you know, we'll see what ends up happening with that down the road. I think, from what I've heard, they're really just waiting to see what happens with that charter agreement to really further any talk. So I you know, with how messy it's kind of been lately, I would say not anytime soon.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're chatting with RJ Starcevic. What teams need a good show in the Clash to get started off on the right foot?
Yeah, for sure in the Clash, I would say, I mean, the easy pick would definitely be Stewart-Haas Racing, you know, to have a good showing there. I think, you know, even though it is an exhibition race, it is something to really get your name out there, really show that the team, hey, we're rolling off with speed and we can really have something to build on here. And then I would say, if I had to go with the second team, Joe Gibbs Racing. I think this could be, just because I believe this could be a really huge year for JGR. I think if Martin Truex Jr. is on it once again, you have Ty Gibbs, who ended last year extremely well. So I'm thinking playoff spot for him this year. We know going into every year what it means for Denny Hamlin, and obviously Christopher Bell continues to get better and better. I think they have an opportunity to probably be the best team in NASCAR this year if Hendrick Motorsports doesn't have something to say about it.
All right, and I know that I want to talk to you more than likely next Monday after we get done with the Clash. But who are some team or some drivers that are the underdogs? I mean, you're chatting with the Afternoon Underdogs. Give me some long shots to do big things here in 2024.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. I would say somebody like Todd Gilliland. He re-signed, you know, with Front Row Motorsports this year after having a really good year last year. Obviously, his teammate Michael McDowell won a race at the Indy Road Course. I'm sure he's sad, you know, too, that race isn't returning. But Todd Gilliland had a lot of great showings. If we've seen anything out of the last few years, it's that this field continues to get closer and closer together. And so Todd Gilliland, for sure, I could see doing something really well. And then I look at the guys over at Spire Motorsports. They're building a pretty good program over there. You got Corey LaJoie, Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, and I think that lineup has the opportunity to really do something really well. Carson Hocevar has had a lot of success in the Truck Series. Zane Smith, same thing, Truck champion. So I look to them for doing something really well.
Jeffrey Earnhardt is set to race a few races this year with Sam Hunt Racing. What's your take on that, your expectations for him, and do you think he gets a full-time ride in maybe 2025?
Yeah, I think so for sure. He's shown that in a good ride, he's been able to do well. I think it's cool that he's going back to Sam Hunt because back in 2023, or 2022, I should say, he had some really good runs for them. I just remember Remarkably won at Auto Club, which, unfortunately gone now. He did really, really well, ran up front. So I think kind of when you get yourself into a part-time position, especially in the Xfinity Series, running for like a mid-pack kind of program, you have the opportunity to prove yourself. And then going into next year, playing the playing the long game, hoping you get kind of an offer. And I think that's something he definitely could get.
All right, RJ, that's good stuff on the Cup Series, and I know that you cover it all. There's no doubt about that, but your focus, your niche is the Xfinity Series. So with that being said, give me your top 3 drivers to win it all in the Xfinity Series, and then give me your 3, just like we did with the Cup Series, kind of long shots, dark horses, underdogs.
Yeah, let's start with favorites here.
I was trying to give you long enough to let you get a sip of water there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Favorites here, give me Sheldon Creed. I mean, he was very, very consistent last year for RCR, and he moves over to Joe Gibbs Racing this year, which I think he will have a big opportunity to do big things. You look at, A.J. Allmendinger. Got to go AJ. He returns to the series, after he almost won the championship just a few years back. I think that could be an opportunity to do something really big there. And then I got to go Justin Allgaier, kind of like a Final Four lock every year. And I think if anybody you want to put your money on to get back there, it would definitely be Justin Allgaier. And then we look at long shots, maybe some new guys coming into the series that could do something here. Let's look around. Let's go Anthony Alfredo. He's full-time with, I believe it is, Our Motorsports. I think he could definitely pull something off for them. Haley Deegan is going to be driving for AM Racing full-time. They're going to be, fully supported by Ford Performance. I think they could certainly get something done. And then I got to go maybe somebody like Parker Retzlaff, had his first full year last year racing for Jordan Anderson Racing. They continue to improve. I think they could certainly make something happen.
RJ, thank you so much for your time. And if we don't catch up Monday, I'll try to I'll let you know what it is, but we will be continuing very shortly, very soon here on our Monday segment there, covering or recapping NASCAR and everything that's going on. And you are going to be back there in Daytona this year, won't you?
Yeah, going to be back in Daytona. I'm really, really excited for that. Nothing's better than going to that racetrack. I always kind of consider it my home track here in Florida, as we all are. So, we get next week off for the Super Bowl. Kind of get that week to breathe, and then the week after it's full-on Daytona time. So I'll be there Wednesday all the way through whenever the 500 gets to finish. So it'll be a lot of fun.
There we go, RJ. Take care, my friend, and we will catch up with you next week.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, guys. You're the best.
Hey, you are the best. That's RJ Starcevic, and he is the host and creator of NASCAR, of the NASCAR Report, and you can find that on Instagram. Go follow him, man. He does a great job. He's also on Twitter. Just type in RJ Starcevic. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Coming up next, we're going to be chatting with the Lady Commodores head coach for Gulf Coast State College basketball, Rory Kuhn.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tomorrow, it's a college basketball doubleheader. First, the number 4 ranked Houston Cougars play the number 8 Kansas Jayhawks. Coverage starts at 2:30.
It's good.
Then your Auburn Tigers coming into Oxford, 17-4 and ranked number 16 to play the 18-5 Ole Miss Rebels.
Oh, it's good.
Tip off at 5 on your home for college basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon, this is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. Sunny the rest of the day with a gentle breeze coming out of the west at 9 miles per hour and temps near 64. We will have clear skies and a wind speed of 3 miles per hour tonight and be cool at 48. And partly sunny tomorrow at a high 65. Very heavy rain Sunday with a temp of 61. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Let your New Year adventures begin in a new Kia Sorento. Bill Bird Kia has a few new 2023 Kia Sorentos left, and they will not last long. You get the savings and drive away today. Now offering 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $21.22 per month per $1,000 finance for 48 months. Quantities limited, no down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. Must see dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/4/24.
Hometown sports talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And now we're not talking to, maybe it was an underdog last week, but no longer an underdog because the target is on their back. We've got Coach Kuhn, the Lady Commodores head basketball coach for the girls. Coach, how's it going? How's it feel to be number one?
Well, I guess you just said it. No longer an underdog, number one in the country. So I guess the right answer is I should feel pretty good, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I absolutely agree with you. Take us back to last weekend there against Northwest Florida State, and close game at halftime. Second half was not so close. What was the speech at halftime like?
Yeah, no, I mean, the speech at halftime was pretty much, I knew we were nervous a little bit, and I could tell they were too, so there were some jitters on both ends, 1 versus 2, big matchup. And I thought we didn't play good at all in the first half, and that's what I told the girls. And I said, guess what? We only scored 28 points, but we held them to 22. And I said, so our defense was good, our rebounding was good. And then I said, once we settle in and we start making some shots, we'll blow this game open. And sure enough, it took about, midway through the third quarter, I think we went on a 20-1 run. We shots started falling, and they started to tighten up, and we held them to 5 points. So it was a great third quarter to help blow it open.
It really was a great third quarter to blow it open, because I was sitting there conversating with someone that I had never met them before, and so we were talking, and he was sitting to the right of me, so I had my head tilted, and it felt like it was only 5 minutes to the right. Next thing you know, I look over at the scoreboard, I'm like, what in the world has happened, and how did it happen so quick? And then I was locked in from there. It was a great game and leading the way for you. Well, you had a few players leading the way for you, but Ozzy Mamadou, NJCAA Region A Women's Basketball D1 Player of the Week. Talk a little bit about her week, and then I'll answer back with her stats from the week, because they are quite impressive.
Oh yeah, no, she had a heck of a week, a monster week. Obviously, helping be our anchor, leading us to that win, knocking off number one Northwest Florida, and then she followed it up with a 25-point, 16-rebound game against Pensacola. So, I mean, I've said it before. I think I said it to you. I think she's definitely the best big in the country. The way she can run the floor, dominate the glass. She's so efficient inside. So, I mean, she had been nothing but great for us, and it's huge, against Northwest Florida. But then, everybody else stepped up too there. I think we had Alicia Murray in double figures, Ayani Diaz dos Santos in double figures, Aaliyah Bartholomew, and Ariel Stevens. So, I mean, I think we were pretty balanced all, through the starting five. It was pretty good effort, overall.
Yeah, Ozzy Mamadou currently ranked first in field goal percentage, shooting 74%. Third in field goals, 162 of 219. Fourth in offensive rebounds with 101. Ninth in defensive rebounds with 147. Fourth in total rebounds at 248. Seventh in rebounds per game at 12.4. Sixth in blocks with 45, and then 16th in points with 360. So safe to say you've got the best big in the country.
Yeah. And then the other thing about that, too, is she's doing it in the best conference in the country. She's doing it against real competition, not against, some other, areas where there's not as many good players, so she deserves all the accolades that she gets.
Number 4, Dos Santos, and you actually just mentioned her. She stood out to me last Saturday, but what stands out to you about her?
She is just, she's been amazing. She got through, a year of injury, and she's coming back, just kind of getting back to the Hayani Dos Santos that I knew, when I recruited her, and that game, there was a couple times where she took off in the open court and was so quick. I said, wow, she's back. The Brazilian blur is back. Her knee's feeling good now. But other than that, with her scoring the ball more that game, her defense has been great all year. There's a lot of times where she's, locking up the best player on the other team, because she has good length at, 5'9", long arms, and she can move her feet. She's athletic. So her defense has been great. And then when she starts scoring the ball like that, then she's really the complete player I knew she was.
I love a good nickname, and that is beyond a good nickname. That is a phenomenal nickname, the Brazilian Blur. So, from now on, that is what she's going by here for ESPN Northwest Florida. Coach, you got all different kinds of cultures in your locker room, multiple countries represented there. What's been a challenge there in creating or nurturing that chemistry?
What you just kind of alluded to, I do have kids from all over the place. So the one common thing that they have in common is that they left their home behind. So they're almost all in the same boat. So that's something that they can rally around. And then, from the American kids I got here, and just, building a culture is obviously, what you want to do when you first get here. And, being I got here so late, we put together a good season. And, I got kids from all over the world at that time. It's just like, hey, let's just follow suit. Hey, it worked out. People are winning. They're having a good time. And, just everybody just enjoys the ride and the journey. And everybody's got a different journey. But the one thing a lot of, all my internationals have in common is, hey, clearly they left home and they're here together. So they got to stick together, and, you got to try to bring it every single day. And, that's something I try to preach to them in practice and, on the court and off the court,
Well, what is, to kind of piggyback off of that, what is something that you've learned from or about another culture that you try to use in your coaching philosophy?
From another culture, honestly, like, the game is so different overseas, and a lot of times when the players get here, they have the hardest time adjusting to the athleticism, the speed, and the strength. So some of the European kids, even the Brazilian kids, Australian kids, they're better in, a system when they play. So, I could get a couple sets from those kids, hey, maybe we should run this, or I ran this back at my club back in that country, and, okay, so that kid feels comfortable with that. And then, you incorporate it to tweak it a little bit and put something in, that we can make them feel familiar, but, still got our own twist on it. So something like that, would be the best way to answer that question.
Absolutely. That's a great answer there. This is Coach Rory Kuhn that we're talking with. He is the Gulf Coast State College Commodores women's basketball coach, women's head basketball coach. Last Wednesday, 69-59 win over Pensacola, but y'all don't have another game until next Wednesday when y'all take on Chipola. Well, what's the plan for the break, Coach?
Yeah, I couldn't be happier that we have a break. Thank God this bye week needs to get here, You get all the hoopla of being number one, people calling, texting, the girls, myself. So there's a lot of, I don't want to say distractions in a good way. Obviously, being that we are number one in the country, but, it's good to just reset and refocus and just, hey, focus on Chipola and know you got to get a tough road win in in the best conference in the country. So we're just going to game plan for Chipola and, more of the same of what we did last time, hopefully. And I think we won by about 30 or something like that. So hopefully we can, put the same results, same effort, same preparation, and, get it done.
Was there any extra, maybe not special or extra motivation, but was there anything special about that win Saturday for you with not just, 1v2 and you guys being the underdog and taking over the number one seed, but was there anything special about maybe the attendees of that game?
About the Northwest Florida game?
Northwest Florida, yeah.
Yeah, that was just, obviously, like you said, 1 versus 2, the crowd was great. People wanted to see it. I actually had my family in town, which was great. They got to see that. And, I used to work at Northwest Florida. It was on the men's side, but so it's always a little sweet when you can beat them, because you know how good they are and how good they've been for so long. So beating them, it's definitely a good feeling.
Yeah, I was actually getting to the family part. I had no idea about working at Northwest Florida before, so that is actually that was really cool. But yeah, I was sitting there in the Commander Club or in the Commodore Club, and Coach Candler brings your family in and gave them a round of applause. I thought that was really cool. And man, y'all all look. I guess most families do though, right? But very similar appearances there.
Yeah, no, I mean, my mom and my dad, I literally just took them to the airport. They were all upset that they had to leave. They said it's too beautiful down here, and they're going to go back up to the snow and the cold. And but they love the game. I've been told I'm a clone of my dad my whole life, so I'm used to getting that one. But yeah, Coach Candler gave him a really good intro into the Commodore Club, hospitality room. So they love that as well. So yeah, definitely some special attendees in the stands this weekend.
Hey, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy this break, and we'll be talking to you soon.
I appreciate all the coverage you guys give us, man. I really do. So keep doing what you guys do, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again.
All right, thank you so much, and it is a pleasure to be able to do that. Not just because they're number one. I mean, that doesn't matter. But if you haven't gone to any of these games yet, that's really one of the reasons I want to continue to keep having the coaches on, get the radio guys on, baseball coaches. We had the Gulf Coast State College softball coach on with us yesterday, Scott Thomas. Being able to go over there and check out, and for our kids here, not just the ones who are playing youth sports, but what about the high school athletes, right, who can watch basketball all day long on on TV? Then that's fine, but you can go to the live atmosphere right here for a good price. You can get you a double header. I mean, I would really like to see that place. And not saying that that no one's there. There's plenty of people there, but we've got a few more seats in there to fill. There's a few more seats in there to fill. So y'all go check out some Gulf Coast Commodore basketball. When is our next home Saturday game? I think we've got another one coming up, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday will be our next home game.
College basketball, it's a lot of fun. It's great energy. And I heard you talking about this year, and you sounded really surprised. Was this like your first experience?
No, it wasn't my
basketball around here.
No, I think I tried to sound surprised about everything. No, what I think it is that when you go and, like, all right, when we think of football and it's like, all right, D1, and we even separate D1, right? You've got Division I, but you've got your Power 5 and your G5, and then you've got your FBS and FCS. And so the perception put on it is that it's not as good, right? And that's the furthest thing from the truth, though, is I think what excites me the most about it is that if you were to take their jerseys and swap them with a well-known branded college basketball team, you would not be able to tell the difference. So every time that I've ever been to any Gulf Coast event, it's always been great stuff. But the older that I get and the more that I'm watching other sports, the easier it is for me to be like, there's not that big of a difference. It really comes down to the depth. You know what I mean? It's hard to get as many as what some of these D1 guys, but it's great basketball. And I would really be interested to see a team like Gulf Coast State College, the Lady Commodores, taking on a Division I school. I think it would be fun. Like he said, he's got the best big in the country in Mamadou, Ozzy Mamadou, though. So great stuff, and really appreciative of the coaches for giving us their time. And y'all get out there, check out, and support the Commodores, ladies and the men. Let's see here. I'm sure you heard about this Bone Crusher. This is probably right up your alley, and it's right up the alley of the sports world as well. But Apollo Creed and Chubbs from Happy Gilmore, Carl Weathers, passing away at the age of 76. Weathers also played college football at San Diego State University. Didn't know that. Wow. He went undrafted in the 1970 NFL draft. Then he signed with the Oakland Raiders. Then he went to the CFL to play for the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League after being released by the Raiders. So really cool stuff. Is there a favorite role for you from Carl Weathers?
Oh, you got to go to the Rocky movies.
Yeah. All 4 Apollos.
And maybe after that, Predator
Predator?
Predator movie. So those
Dylan. He was Dylan in Predator.
either of those are on. I'm watching.
For me, I think it would be Chubbs, but Apollo Creed is absolutely special as well. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, I was going to say Reading Rainbow, but I think I've said that twice before on this show that, the guy from Reading Rainbow. And it's like, no, that's not the guy. That is not the guy from Reading Rainbow.
That's
but he was
Burton.
Lamar Burton. There you go.
LeVar Burton, who's in Star Trek as well.
Oh.
Geordie LaForge.
See, I was about to mess it up even further because I was going to be like, didn't this guy play in Star Trek as well? That just shows you how uncultured I am when it comes to
Carl
movies
Weathers was
and stuff like that.
Star Wars.
Okay.
Mandalorian. He won like a guest. He won an Emmy for his role.
Okay.
Or he won some award.
And he was also Kunta Kinte in Roots, according to Caveman Rick there. So,
I think.
What?
Carl
Weathers wasn't?
I was Carl Weathers in Roots. Carl Weathers was in Roots.
This is not what I'm saying.
Is he talking about Geordie LaForge again?
Oh, are you talking about Geordie LaForge? I don't know. Y'all conversate between yourselves. I'll read the comments out all day long, though. What else do we got here? Oh, this is really cool. Teddy Bridgewater, former NFL quarterback. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember him. He was talking about LeVar Burton right there.
Okay. Right.
All
He
right,
was
so
still
now
alive.
You guys are getting me all confused over here. All right. R.I.P. to Carl Weathers, and it was really cool. Chubbs and Apollo Creed, and then reading that he played football. I had not known that prior to that.
That's very interesting to learn.
Let's see. Teddy Bridgewater. So he retired after spending 10 years in the league. He played quarterback over there at Louisville, and then drafted by it was either the Jets or the Vikings. Got a couple of opportunities. Played back up there for behind Tua for a little bit. Two-glove Teddy Two Gloves. But he has been named the head coach at Miami Northwestern Senior High School, which is where he went to college. So I find that to be very interesting. And we've got to go to a break. We're going to be right back with Mark McLeod from the Gator Blitz. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Keep it locked in for hour number 2.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer, puts it in.
College basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, you saw that coming, Rampant.
The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Friday's weather forecast. Clear tonight with a low near 48 and a wind 1 to 5 miles per hour. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and a temperature of 63. A bit warmer in the afternoon and evening around 65 with some clouds and a wind coming out of the south-southeast at 10 miles per hour. Quite warm with a high around 61 and raining very heavily Sunday. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job, it's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting your family.
Go home for Super Bowl 58. WGSFC, WPLQ Point St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
This 53-man roster is stupid.
Where it's halftime all the time.
Raise the rosters, you cheapskate owners, and get that done now.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
$5 a pop. It's cheaper than Uber. You can send that to my Venmo.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 is right here in Panama City and 101.9 over there in Port St. Joe. We have not forgotten about the Forgotten Coast. I'm David Hayes along with Bone Crusher. We're kicking off hour number 2 with Mark McLeod from the Gator Blitz, and he is a mainstay on the Coach James Hale Show, but some news broke today, and I was like, what better guest to have than Mark McLeod? So make sure you're tuned in to the Coach James Hale Show from about 8:15 on. Is that right, Mark? On Wednesdays?
Yeah, Wednesdays.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we had some big news yesterday, and I know that you're a Florida guy, but with Mike Martin passing away yesterday, can you share a story or thought about his time over there at FSU?
Yeah, he was fantastic. He really was. I remember when Kevin O'Sullivan got the job at Florida. Florida made it that first year into the NCAA postseason. It really was a Florida team that was short on pitching. Went to Tallahassee. They got whipped. And I spoke with Mike Martin shortly thereafter. I caught him as he was going off the podium. And he said, I'm telling you, he goes, this guy's going to be something else. He goes, I think Florida fans are going to be really happy for a long time. And just the way he said it, in his Mike Martin way. Mm-hmm. And I had already heard the same thing from Tim Corbin at Vanderbilt. I called him when Sully got the job and spoke to him on the phone. He gave me about 20, 25 minutes talking about just specifically about Sully and his his thoughts on pitching, his thoughts on the team, and certainly their relationship. And I tell you, Mike Martin was just fabulous, just a fabulous guy. And the thing about Martin was, sometimes coaches they lose, they don't want to talk to the media. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there may have been a few times with that with Martin, but I'm telling you guys, he was by and large he would talk to you, and he was brutally honest. He was brutally honest in his assessment of his team, and honest in his assessment of the opposition.
Do you think character traits like that are fading away in the sports world when it comes to coaching?
Yeah, I do. I don't think you see it as often, especially, and look, if you're a Florida State fan, how can you not be thrilled with your history? Mm-hmm. You had Mike Martin there for decades. You had Bobby Bowden there for decades. I mean, that's huge. It really is. I mean, you look at Florida. Florida's still trying to find answers, and there are several other teams that have been good that are too. So, to have a guy like Mike Martin there, and his style, one of the nicest coaches that you'll ever meet. Every time I spoke to him after the Gators and the Seminoles played, be it in Gainesville, Tallahassee, or Jacksonville, he was always great. He would always give you a few minutes, and you could ask him about Florida, you could ask him about Sully, ask him about pitching, whatever, and he would give you an honest and direct answer. And I think nowadays you have a lot of coaches, and it's been this way for a while. But you have coaches who are a little more adversarial with the media, and in some cases I get it. In mm-hmm. other cases I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the media, not individuals, but media as a whole has kind of put themselves we've put ourselves into that position sometimes, I guess, as the whole goes, but you've got a lot of good journalists and a lot of good media out there who don't deserve to be treated like that and are really just trying to, I mean, what do we do this for? For the fans to have extra content, right? And we love sports to death.
Yeah, well, you do have some guys that do it for their own purposes. Let's put it that way. And those guys are the problem guys. You've got some media people who they want the praise, they want the accolades, they want to be the guy to get all the hits on Twitter and on social media, and they make it more about themselves than they do about the game. And I think fans have really for many years now have grown tired of that. And look, they just want a guy that's going to cover the team or cover the game fairly.
Yeah. I agree with you, Mark, and I would like to see that. Maybe we'll see that more in the future with this next upcoming generation. But the SEC and Big Ten are creating a joint advisory group of university presidents and whatnot. Give me your thoughts on this? The SEC and the Big Ten coming together here. Could this be the end or the beginning of the end of the NCAA?
Yeah, and I've been calling for this for years. Anybody who's listened to me on Coach Hale's show, I've ranted and raved about this for a few years. The NCAA's dead. They sit on their hands. They don't want to do anything. Here's the problem with what's going on, David. The NCAA has had to fight so many battles in court. They've hired more attorneys and had more retainers, and they've spent millions and millions and millions, and they're sick to death of it. They really are. They tired of it. They've been worn down because of it. That's one problem. The other problem you have with the NCAA is they don't want the players to come knocking on their doors and say, "Hey, you guys have a lot of money, and we're not getting that cut. We want our cut of your money," and that's a big part of it too. They've had every opportunity to address NIL. They've had every opportunity to address the transfer portal. They've had every opportunity for years and years now to address the postseason playoff scenario and how that should go forward. And they essentially have failed at every turn. They just don't do it. Ward Pell even was on my Facebook page a little bit ago, that Charlie Pell, former Florida coach Charlie Pell's wife. And look, she gets it. She's still very connected with these coaches' wives and with the game. And we both agree, and I'm sure everybody out there listening agrees too, you can't do this and continue this. College fans are disenchanted with the game. They're sick and tired of what's going on with college football. And now you're starting to see college coaches. Florida had 3 assistants leave last year, went right to the NFL. Because anybody who wants a family and wants to coach, you just can't do it. You're on the clock 365 days a year, 24 hours a day with the transfer portal. You have to recruit the same kids that you recruited 4 years ago if he's on campus still, again and again and again. So it's just absurd, and it's time for the adults in the room to do something about it. That is Greg Sankey, get the Big Ten people involved. Go get Nick Saban. Go get Steve Spurrier. Get some of the former coaches, Pete Carroll. Get some of these guys involved who can help make decisions and help this stuff go forward.
Yeah, I mean, and get Bill Belichick, and I'm being facetious here. He can be like, yeah, on to Sunday here. But it's interesting with all of the NIL, and there's no rules really connected to it. The transfer portal, and now we've got the NCAA going after Tennessee, going after Florida State, going after Florida. Give me your thoughts there, Mark, because it's hard for me to make sense of this.
This is so typical of the NCAA. They allow things. They didn't handle it in the beginning. Didn't establish the protocols and the rules hard and fast. They're more or less interim rules. They don't hammer anybody who really egregiously violates their rules anymore. They just don't do it. You look at Tennessee. Tennessee's a perfect example. Over 200 violations last year. The last few years, and of course all that came out in 2023, and the NCAA didn't even impose a bowl ban. Are you kidding me? So you look at all I've got a list of those violations. I wrote a piece on it on my blog at blitzsportsradio.com and posted it today. So it's right there. I included the penalties. I included a thumbnail of all the violations as the NCAA sent a letter to the University of Tennessee. But that's where this stuff happens. And now the NCAA says, oh, well, we got to get tougher on these schools. We got to really we got to throw down on a couple schools, 2 or 3 schools, and make examples of them so these others will fall in line. Here's the problem. When the NCAA committee, when the NCAA met about NIL, most recently, you go back and you look at some of the stuff they did, and it says right there in their bylaws that they want a federal law on and they want federal legislation, I should say, on NIL.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get that, but it says right there in their own release that they want schools to follow the state law. Well, that's where Tennessee's coming at. Tennessee's saying, wait a minute, we're following state law. Yet they're also saying, you look at California law, because the kid we recruited, Nico Ilimileva, is from California. And you try to pronounce that 3 times fast. But anyway, there's no way that this is going to be an easy battle. This is an all-out war now. The shots have been fired, and the Tennessee chancellor is fired up at the NCAA. Apparently, the NCAA didn't like her comments, so they released some things seemingly to the New York Times and some other guys, and it's going to be an all-out war now.
Yeah, and with Tennessee, with them having the McDonald bag issues, what was that? Not even 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, and that's the violations I was talking about with Jeremy. Look, he got a show cause. He wants to coach in college football. I know a friend who is close with Jeremy, and Jeremy's wanted to get back in the game. Nick Saban wanted to hire Jeremy 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted him back he wanted him at Alabama, but there's no way the SEC was going to allow that. There's no way the NCAA really wanted that or was going to allow that. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there, but right now it's going to be an all-out war between the attorney generals, because you look at what happened a couple days ago. You had the attorney generals in Tennessee and Virginia go forward, and they're going to sue the NCAA. So they're going after the NCAA. I'm sure you'll see other states get on board as well if the NCAA targets schools within their state.
Do you think Nick Saban would be, or actually, who would you put if we were to have a czar of college football, a commissioner of college football? Who would be your first choice?
Wow. Saban would be a good one. And I say that because Saban, if you look at what Nick Saban has done throughout his career at Alabama, he's changed. He's evolved in certain areas. So I think anyway that he would be fair. He is really in favor of player benefits and the players getting more out of the game. So he was in favor of NIL. Steve Spurrier was in favor of NIL. But, I think what Nick is not in favor of is the tampering, and he's certainly not in favor of pay for play. I mean, you just can't do that. And that is what we all know what is happening and what has happened in college football.
And how do we stop that? Because if teams are going to continue to get away with that and players are going to go to where they know they can get paid, and we're I hate it for the game. I'm all for, like you said, with name, image, and likeness, I'm all for that. I think that as much money as college football is making, the players should have some sort of, compensation there, but not just for you playing, because your compensation for you playing, unless you're a walk-on, is your scholarship. And there's a lot of people who didn't have the scholarship, who got really good jobs out of college and are still paying off their student loans.
Yeah, look, this is America. You can't tell kids they can't go do an ad for somebody or a commercial spot for somebody. You can't do that. Yet the NCAA for decades has done just that. I remember back, going probably 25, 30 years ago, there were 2 or 3 Florida players that went to a mobile home park, and the guy hired them to do an to be there and sign some autographs and to do a promotion for him. And boy, Florida kind of flipped out because Florida didn't know about it. And yeah, the NCAA got involved. Florida said, "Oh, whoa, we stopped it as soon as we found out about it, but it was a little too late." Stuff like that it happens, and it's going to happen. I think that right now, there is no stopping it. The only thing that's going to stop it now is it's going to be in the court of law, and they're going to handle it. And that's how that's going to be rectified. Outside of that, you've got the SEC, the Big Ten, whoever else may jump on board, go and create their own conference and just totally sidestep the NCAA. Because I can tell you, Greg Sankey and some of the comments he's made to us in the media over the past 3 years or so, he has gotten more and more frustrated with the lack of effort, the lack of leadership, if you will, with the NCAA. And look, as a media guy, as a fan, I would love to see college football go in a different direction, because the NCAA just seems to be, 2 miles behind in every single issue.
I think that's putting it very nicely there, Mark. Senior Bowl going on right now in Mobile, Alabama. What are you hearing from the Senior Bowl about about some of the Florida Gators involved there?
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall's really stood out. He's really looked nice and has done a good job. And I think he would be a quality addition for some team. Put that guy in the slot, and then potentially returning punts would be another area where he would be a benefit. Because I think for guys like Pearsall, while I think they can lock on as a wide receiver, you and I both know he's not going to be a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. All right? He's not going to be a second-round pick. He's going to be a guy who really is going to have some skill set on special teams because of the 53-man rosters in the NFL. Yeah,
that's a good point there. And then looking at 2024 for the Florida Gators, what is the leash looking like for Billy Napier? Is he going into the season on the hot seat? What does that look like for Billy Napier in 2024?
Well, Scott Strickland said he's not on the hot seat, but I'd argue he is most definitely on the hot seat. In fact, not only is Billy Napier on the hot seat, but so is Athletic Director Scott Strickland. I don't know that. Let me say this: I don't know that a move is made at Florida, guys, without Scott Strickland being the first guy moved out.
Okay.
I don't think there's a lot of trust among a lot of the Gator boosters, and certainly a lot of the fan base, that if indeed things go awfully wrong for Billy Napier and they have the toughest schedule in the country coming up in 2024, the back end of that schedule is absolutely brutal. I don't know that they are going to let Scott Strickland make that choice. I think they're going to have to make a move, and I think there's going to be a lot of people wanting to make a move and to insert a new athletic director and then to make the move for the head football coach.
Ooh, we will see how 2024 plays out. And then last but not least, again, we're chatting with Mark McLeod. He is the host of the Gator Blitz, and you can listen to him right here on ESPN Northwest Florida Wednesdays at 8:15 in the morning with the Coach James Hale Show. But give me your thoughts on eligibility and specifically all of these extra years that were granted. Tight end from Miami now, Cam McCormick, just got granted, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, got granted his 9th year of eligibility. Give me your thoughts there, Mark.
Cam, for example, he's been on this station longer, or he's been in NCAA football longer than I've been on this station. So think about that. I've been doing this for years in Panama City with Coach Hale, and before that, Scott Rossman. So, that's absurd. I mean, here's yet another glowing area where the NCAA has dropped the ball, and it's a shame, but this is what we see. So I get the COVID year, but I do not get the rest of the stuff going on.
Mm-mm. No, I mean, it's the Van Wilder of college football at that point. It's just wild to me. Like, I get injuries, I really do, and maybe once for an injury. But here's my thing: you go into this 9th year, which you've already done 2 tours of college football, if you want to call it that way, right? 2 to 4 years, if they even stay 4 years these days. So then you do that twice. Now you're headed into your 9th year, and if you get injured again, which God forbid that happens, but if you do get injured again, what do you do? It's not about you at that point. It's about in my opinion, and still even you being on the team, is about the roster spot that you're taking away from a high school athlete. And that's what another thing with the transfer portal is, like, if I can get someone who's already played college football and I've got tape of him playing college football, then I don't have to teach him as much. We know he can fit into this system more so than what we're going to see from a college or from a high school athlete who has to put in a lot more work. But I hate that because it almost to some extent can discourage these high school athletes from trying to make that jump to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at go back to the 80s. In the 80s, there were a lot of people complaining about BYU because a lot of those kids, Mormon kids, they went, right out of high school, a lot of them did, and did their internship with the church for 2 years, and then they jumped into college football. And there were people, whoa, come on, you got guys at BYU that are 24 years old. You've got to be kidding me. Look at things now. It's absurd. It really is. And I just think that we're sending a really bad message to these folks and to these kids. And I just wish things were very different in college football, and I know a lot of people listening wish the same thing.
Absolutely, Mark. I really do appreciate you giving us some of your time here on this Friday afternoon. You take care, and we'll be listening to you Wednesday at 8:15 in the morning. Then also tell everyone where they can listen to your Gator Blitz.
Yeah, at McLeod Live be the best way to get it. And then, of course, I have the blog at blitzsportsradio.com. David, always a pleasure to be on with you, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much. You take care now, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, that is Mark McLeod, Gator Blitz. And again, Wednesdays, 8:15 in the morning on the Coach James Hale Show. Fun show for the Coach James Hale Show today as well. Coach James Hale had his brother in the building with him, along with Jason Kovaleski. That was really cool to listen to a little bit of that. And y'all make sure that you're listening to the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. It is a great show, especially if you love the SEC. And even more so if you love Alabama. But they give coverage to it all. But your Alabama update, very special, 8 in the morning. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Give me a call, 850-215-6290.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tomorrow, it's a college basketball doubleheader. First, the number 4 ranked Houston Cougars play the number 8 Kansas Jayhawks. Coverage starts at 2:30.
It's good.
Then your Auburn Tigers coming into Oxford, 17-4 and ranked number 16 to play the 18-5 Ole Miss Rebels.
Oh, it's good.
Tip off at 5 on your home for college basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Friday's weather forecast. Clear tonight with a low near 48 and a wind 1 to 5 miles per hour. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and a temperature of 63. A bit warmer in the afternoon and evening around 65 with some clouds and a wind coming out of the south-southeast at 10 miles per hour. Quite warm with a high around 61 and raining very heavily Sunday. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. And a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal. Next in line.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Love is in the air at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, and what better way to celebrate love than with a beautiful piece of jewelry? Our Valentine collection combines the most popular trends and top sellers with the largest selection at the best prices. From exquisite fine jewelry to our most trendy and affordable sterling silver pieces, we're sure to have the perfect gift to melt her heart. Folks have trusted us for 50 years to make their Valentine sparkle. This year, make it sparkle even more with a gift from Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
From the Auburn Sports Network, Alpha Insurance presents Auburn Sports Today. Here's Brad Law.
Auburn Gymnastics hosts the first ever quad meet at Neville Arena tonight at 7 o'clock. Fisk, Talladega, and Temple are in the house. Doors open at 5:30. Tomorrow, men's basketball back on the network at 4:30 as the 16th ranked Tigers take on Ole Miss in Oxford. 10 regular season games remain for Bruce Pearl and company, all against quality teams.
Like, if I want to sit here and tell you that we got a chance to win some of these games coming up, it's because of the way we were able to guard. Now, can't Ole Miss and Mississippi State, those are two really talented, really athletic teams. You would not have thought that those teams could each score 80 something on each other. You know, if we let Ole Miss score the 80s, I mean, we have no chance. So we're going to have to just try to go there and see if we can guard. We played exceptionally well against Ole Miss. That might have been one of our best games. And I don't think Ole Miss played particularly well. So you combine those two, and it was a 20-something point win. I told our guys, you remember how we left Tuscaloosa? We knew we were going to get those guys back here. Not that makes all the difference in the world, but that's how Ole Miss left this building. And they're playing really, really well right now. They're shooting the ball like crazy. They haven't lost a game at home, and that game's going to be, it'll be sold out, and it'll be a crazy, crazy environment. So we're just going to have to strap it on. Period.
The period becomes an exclamation point starting tomorrow at 5 Central. Until Monday, I'm Brad Law for Auburn Sports Today.
We don't sell the steak.
You can stir this all up.
We sell the sizzle. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Very spicy.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back right here in the doghouse. You're tuned in to the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Big thanks to all of our guests this afternoon for riding along with us, giving us some of their time. Boston Tim just texting in. Theo Epstein back with the Boston Red Sox as a part owner and advisor, which after the year that they had last year and the direction that the American League East, which is one of, if not the toughest divisions in baseball, they got to get things back on track over there. And so hopefully Theo Epstein can turn things around for him once again as a part owner and advisor. Taking your calls and texts right now at 850-215-6290. I wanted to share this story with you real quick, guys. This was pretty awesome. Now, the Baltimore Ravens didn't end up moving on to the Super Bowl. They did fall to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to have a rematch of a few years ago, 4 years ago, Chiefs and the 49ers, Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes. But Baltimore Ravens tight end Mark Andrews is being hailed a hero after he helped a woman experiencing a medical emergency during a flight from Baltimore to Phoenix. So Andrews, who's 28, asked the medical professionals if there was if the problem could be with the woman who was passed out with her blood sugar, and offered a diabetic testing kit that he had. The 3-time Pro Bowler was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 9 and monitors his blood sugar levels regularly. Now, I know 2 of my cousins have diabetes. I'm not sure which type it is or not, but I know that it's one of those things that you have to stay on top of and monitor. So Andrews then instructed the doctor and the nurse on how to use the test kit.
Wow.
I mean,
wild.
Wow. So the woman's heart rate then later stabilized, and paramedics were on site as soon as the plane landed. The Ravens released a statement from Andrews crediting the Southwest flight staff and medical professionals for their response to the emergency. In addition to the fast-acting flight attendants, the real heroes are the nurse and doctor, who also happened to be on the plane. Thankfully, they were able to provide the woman the quick assistance she needed. So Mark Andrews has now become, and if I didn't love him already, one of my favorite tight ends, one of my favorite NFL players in the game. Selfless, loving, great stuff there. And who knows what would have happened had he not had, if he didn't have diabetes, he wouldn't have had the test kit right there. And I know there's a lot of people on a plane, but then how about the people who might have had diabetes? And they had only their last one, you know what I mean? Like they needed their medication or whatever. So, I mean, it just all worked out. What's that?
Yeah, he shared.
Well,
What
yeah.
if he didn't share?
Yeah, right. I mean, exactly. So, just really cool that that story's coming out. And congratulations to the Southwest Airlines. Oh, not congratulations, but kudos to the Southwest Airlines crew there and EMS. I mean, time and time again, how many times do they come in clutch for us when we need it? They've helped our ESPN family out not once but twice over here, right here at this particular station. So very appreciative.
That's a good analogy. It's like going to the bullpen. They like the Braves reliever running out to save the day. At the last minute.
Yeah, and they really did, man. They did here, and they do, because it's wild when you get into an emergency. Their calmness is almost eerie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is, but that's their professionalism, and I'm sure that it helps a little bit seeing what they see, but I think it's their composure. We're not seeing what's actually going on the inside. I'm sure it's still, maybe, I don't know, but it feels like it would probably still, hard to sleep at night sometimes.
They're cool under pressure. That's a tribute to them. And, when that's what you do every day, you learn that skill, and you have to be able to compartmentalize that, put that aside, and focus on what's ahead of you.
And the Ravens have also came out and said that they're planning a bigger role for its all-pro quarterback, Lamar Jackson. The coaching staff said he's a driver. He's got to be involved. This is actually John Harbaugh. Got to be involved in the setup of the car even more. So I like that. And I think that especially when your quarterback proves, and here's another, he asked for the trade last year, bet on himself. Him and his mom played the role of the agent. And then he comes out and he has a great year. Did it go the way that it expected? For the most part, I think that he got to the AFC Championship. Did you want to see him get over that hump? Yes, we all wanted to see that. It didn't happen, but here's the other thing. It's going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, so give him another year. Let's see that wide receiving core become a little bit better. Mark Andrews, yes, he was back in that game, but he had went 5 weeks with dealing with injury, so he was knocking off rust in that game. Zay Flowers, if he doesn't fumble, if he doesn't have the taunting, there's so many things, like we can't just put all of that on Lamar Jackson. Now the interception was a missed throw, or a terrible throw, but those things happen. So we'll see what plays out. I still believe in Lamar Jackson. I think he's one of the greater quarterbacks in our league, and I think given all that he's proven, he does deserve to have somewhat of a voice. Does he need to be the voice? I don't ever think your quarterback should be the voice, because then he's overriding what the coaching staff, general manager, and all of that, and there needs to be some sort of order, some sort of pecking order to keep things in line. But no, of course your quarterback should have a say-so in what we're going to do, because the more comfortable that he is with what it is that we're implementing, the better that the offense is going to run anyway. And then over to the Buffalo Bills wide receiver, we've got, a lot of this stuff is coming out because of the Pro Bowl. We'll go over a little recap of what's going on in the Pro Bowl games here in a second. But Buffalo Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs, in his first comments since his team was ousted from the playoffs, expressed a little bit of uncertainty about his future in Buffalo. He did admit some regrets about the team's season-ending loss, but when asked whether he was ready to move forward with the Bills, he said, "I'm ready to go no matter which way that it goes." It's also been 22 days since Coach Nick Saban has retired after a 28-year coaching career. And funny, I don't know if you guys have seen on Twitter Jalen Milroe talking, but he said Nick Saban needed to retire because he's 28 years from being 100 years old. He had a golf outing last weekend at the Floridian National Golf Club down there in Palm City, Florida, where former MLB superstar Reggie Jackson held the Mr. October Celebrity Golf Classic. Saban was paired with 50 Cent and Travis Scott at the charity tournament. He's also a partial owner of the Waterfall Club, which is a 400-acre private golf community in Clayton, Georgia. If you ever want to go, now I read this and I'm like, I want to go check out the Waterfall Club. So maybe when I'm retired at age 99 and I get my 10 minutes of retirement,
start saving now.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm saving Cheez-Its, man. Hopefully we can start using Cheez-Its as a bartering measure or something. But
quit buying those Devour frozen entrees. Go back to your hot dog and bread.
The hot dog and bread. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe just go right back to the barbecue sauce packets. Like, all right, lunch is served. Liquid lunch. But I think that's awesome. I bet that group was a lot of fun to be around. Nick Saban, 50 Cent, and Travis Scott. I'm sure Travis Scott was keeping Nick Saban young in that game, or in that golf outing. Your Atlanta Braves have signed former All-Star closer Ken Giles to a minor league contract. He's getting an invitation to spring training. He's 33 years old and has made only 9 appearances since 2019. He's had a whole bunch of injuries. He's got an ERA of 2.71 and 115 saves with 12.5 Ks per 9 innings and 355.1 innings pitched in his career. LeBron James has been stated by his agent, Rich Paul, and they made it clear LeBron won't be traded, and we aren't asking to be. That's what his agent said ahead of the deadline, which is next week. But LeBron James was on Twitter and just wreaking a little havoc, if you will. Put an hourglass emoji on his Twitter account, and that was after one of the losses this week, which I don't believe LeBron or Anthony Davis played last night. And I think I want to say they beat the Celtics last night, but I could be wrong on that. I was doing flag football last night, so I didn't really pay attention to much that was going on in the sporting world. I had real things to accomplish.
Your eyes were off sports for just a second because you were actually at a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
my eyes were off entertainment of sports, and I was being entertained there at Frank Nelson. Cannot wait for the future there for flag football. But hey, and if there's any baseball coaches out there who would, if you need an assistant coach or someone to help out however I can, hey, reach out to me, man. That is the one sport I really do want to get into, and I don't want to stop helping out with the youth though. Like now that I've kind of scratched that itch, if you will, like however I can help out here in the community, whatever. Like I want to invest in the community, man. That's
what's it like being called coach?
Weird, especially, because it's not like I feel old by any means.
Whoa. Just because all our coaches are dinosaurs doesn't mean, doesn't mean you're old man.
You know what? I'll take coach all day long over Mr. I'm not a huge fan of like Mr. David Hayes.
I mean, once you're a coach, you're always called coach.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
We've been looking for a name for you.
There we go.
I have.
Coach David Hayes. Just Coach.
Coach Hayes.
There you go.
Coach H.
But we already got Coach, though, because we got Coach James Hale.
We got Coach Man. We got Coach.
Yeah.
We got coaches.
We got a litany of coaches.
More coaches.
Coach Brian Haddad.
Than anybody in the tri-state. Yeah.
That's a good problem to have, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the brain power of all these coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we run our toaster here. It's amazing.
There you go. It kind of feels like a toaster on this side of the glass right now. I walked in there a few seconds ago. Kind of smells like, I don't know what that nostalgic smell was, but like almost when you're in a classroom back in school and it's that time of the year, and so instead of they open up the window, and so that's kind of what this. Do you have the windows open?
I do. Yeah,
that's all right then.
Fresh air coming on a cool southern night.
That is what it is. U.S. women's national team co-captain Lindsey Horan says that U.S. soccer fans are not smart. She says U.S. soccer fans are not smart. Now, there's more context to this. She actually gave a lot of comments on this, and she made a lot of sense. If you just read the headline, it's like she's calling out U.S. soccer fans. And no, what she's saying is that people will watch her games, they'll see the stat line, and they'll be like, good game. And she's like, this wasn't a good game. I didn't play a good game. I played like crap. She used another term for that. But, so she said now the U.S. fans are getting smarter, and we'll see how that moves in the future. But I like the brutal honesty. What did we talk with Mark McLeod not too long ago about coaches and brutal honesty? And I like that because I don't think that should be surprising to anyone that is, especially not big time soccer fans like me. If I can't sit here and say I'm a smart soccer fan, I would have no idea. If I saw someone I don't know what you would consider a good soccer performance, right? Because only one person can score a goal at a time. You don't score that many goals. So like, what is the analytic that you're looking for that's like, look at what they did if you didn't watch the game, you know?
Because scores and ties, 3 is a blowout.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Americans are learning, and I think this is the first time that professional soccer is going to stick. We've tried so many times, but now it's stuck, and it's here, and the fans are embracing it. I'm really glad for the sport.
I love it too, and having your Messi over there with the MLS, and that seems to be growing, even though it's growing with soccer players who, I don't think that it's fair to say that Lionel Messi is beyond his prime, but still maybe beyond his prime, but still better than everyone else in Major League Soccer. But where I think we're seeing a nice growth is a lot of our younger players are now going over to the Premier League. At least that's what I'm hearing from a lot of our soccer guys. And I mean, look over here. We got North Bay Haven. We've got Bay. We got Arnold. Of course, Arnold's been doing this for 5-6 years, maybe longer than that. Just top of the sport. number one high school team nationally. And then they just took the loss a few days ago, but it was in PKs, 5-4. Doesn't get any closer than that. Only loss of the season. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to do a little local recap when we get back. Give us a call or text 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer, college basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, you saw that coming,
Rampant. The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Friday's weather forecast. Clear tonight with a low near 48 and a wind 1 to 5 miles per hour. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and a temperature of 63. A bit warmer in the afternoon and evening around 65 with some clouds and a wind coming out of the south-southeast at 10 miles per hour. Quite warm with a high around 61 and raining very heavily Sunday. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back for our final segment of the week. You can call or text us at 850-215-6290. The Warrior Beach Retreat Salute is going to line the streets of the parade, and that is going to be, they're going to have a speaker later on, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West from the U.S. Army, retired and U.S. Congressman. The ceremony will be hosted by First Baptist Church, 640 Grace Avenue, Panama City, Florida. That'll be Thursday, February 22nd. Ceremony starts at 7 p.m. Admission is free and open to the public. You can get the parade route at warriorbeachretreat.org. So join me there because I've heard a lot of great things about Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and I cannot wait to go to that. That's going to be February 22nd. It is free, open to the public, First Baptist Church, and the ceremony starts at 7 p.m. And that Bay High Sailing Team fundraiser is March 4th. So more on that as we inch closer to March 4th. But February 22nd, go ahead and make a note of that. Now, we did get a text in from James who wants to know, in my unbiased opinion, do I think that Tua deserves $40 million a year? The answer to that is absolutely not. No, I don't think that I don't think many of these quarterbacks, though, deserve $40 million a year. I mean, I think there's one. I think there's one who deserves that much money, and that's Patrick Mahomes. He's the only guy who has not been injured, who 6 years in a row has been to the AFC Championship. How many times is he's going for his third Super Bowl right here? He's the only guy that's really, in my opinion, worth $40 million. Look at what Deshaun Watson is getting for, $250 million for his deal guaranteed. Is he worth that? Absolutely not. And I'm not going to say I told you so, because that's irrelevant. Like, half the stuff that I say is wrong anyways. But with Deshaun Watson, like, we did not, what did we see from Deshaun Watson in the Houston Texans that was like, oh my goodness, let's give this guy the bank, let him basically run the franchise? And I'm being facetious with that. He's not running the franchise, but still, what did they see out of Deshaun Watson after sitting out for essentially 2 years that was like, this is a great idea, he'll bring Cleveland back to prominence? It shows you right here. And yes, he had a couple of good games this year, but the fact that they had such a good run this year with Joe Flacco, not as much DTR, but showed some flashes, and PJ Walker, I mean, why would we be paying these guys this kind of money? I would, and the thing with Tua is, I think that there's growth there for him. I do think that there's growth there. But when you take Tyreek off the field, is just something changes. Well, not something changes. You're losing one of the best wide receivers in the game. So, I think that he's got a good thing going with Mike McDaniel over there for the Miami Dolphins. I think that they've got a great offense, and the defense got hurt down the stretch, so that changes things a little bit. But I don't think any quarterback right now is really worth $40 million a year. I mean, go to the Bengals. Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow's, there's no one that can tell you that he's not a good quarterback. He showed it to you in college. He showed it to you at the NFL level. He's already been to a Super Bowl. However, how many seasons have we not seen Joe Burrow because of injury? So if these guys are going to continue to, and it's hard to say, well, don't pay him because he's likely to get injured, but hello, what happens when they get injured? They're not playing, and so you need someone else to fill that spot. And how do you do that and get a valuable player playing there if you ain't got the money to pay him? So for me, I think it's just a little bit too much. For me, a guy like Tua would be whoever's getting that max contract. He needs to be, I wouldn't even say pay him in the top 10 yet, just because he hasn't proven it. Now, what's the beautiful thing about Tua, right, is injury. Oh, hello. This year, what'd he do? Played the whole year. We've always talked about his concussions, right? And the injuries that he had at college, but he played the whole year. Same way with Lamar Jackson. What have I said? The last 2 years, only played 12 games in each of the last 2 seasons. And then one of the things that stood out that I didn't like, not this year, but last year, was him not showing up for the playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals, even though that they were on the road. But that's neither here nor there. Lamar Jackson played 17 games in the regular season this year and the playoffs. So I think Tua's got room to grow. I think that in the landscape that we're in here in the NFL, I mean, we've got a lot of really good quarterbacks. The guard has changed. It's not Tom Brady. It's not Peyton Manning anymore. But you look at this new guard that's coming up, and Patrick Mahomes essentially being the gatekeeper. But when Joe Burrow's healthy, he's almost got Patrick Mahomes' number. Josh Allen, outside of just throwing some weird interceptions on the wrong side of the field. Oh, really good quarterback. Jordan Love, who sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years, is now coming up. Jared Goff, who went to a Super Bowl. So, we've got a lot of good quarterbacks in the league, but and you got to pay those guys. I get that, but at what point is your quarterback more important than your team? Because there is a reason why Tom Brady is called the GOAT, and it's not because he got paid a whole bunch of money. It's because he took pay cuts in order to keep the Patriots able to get guys around him to make plays. So for me, no one's really worth $40 million a year. I don't think Tua deserves it. If that is the going price, no, I don't think Tua deserves it. But I do think that Tua's got some room. Not all quarterbacks have room to grow. I think Tua will grow. if that makes sense. I think Tua will get a little bit better. He's got that accuracy. Mike McDaniel's got a good playbook for him. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, that is my quarterback. I just need to get the offensive line shored up a little bit, but let's focus a little bit more on that defense. The offense is a lot of fun to watch, but if Tyreek Hill gets hurt, and we're not seeing production out of Tua, see, here's the Patrick Mahomes thing. Patrick Mahomes this year, not having the greatest year, wide receivers dropping a lot of balls, but when the going got tough, when it came down, when the season is on the line, what does Patrick Mahomes do? One, he started finding Travis Kelce just a little bit more. Two, he's becoming more mobile. I mean, every year, throughout the regular season, you don't see Patrick Mahomes running a whole lot. Whenever he gets into the playoffs, I mean, the guy turns into some sort of maestro or whatever. Mahomes, I'd give $60 million a year. Mahomes, I would give $60 million a year. But they're giving him, what, $50 million a year right now for 10 years. Want to recap real quick on the local soccer teams that have punched their ticket to the FHSAA Big Dance and Boys Soccer Class 3A Region 1. North Bay Haven is the 4 seed. They're going to be hosting the 5 seed PK Young. And then Class 4A Region 1, number 1 seed Bay, who's going to be hosting the 8 seed Wakulla. South Walton is the 7th seed. They're going to be traveling to the 2 seed Santa Fe. And then Class 5A Region 1. Arnold is the number 1 overall seed. They are going to be traveling, though, to the district champ and the 8 seed Lecanto. Playoff bracket for the girls' side of things, Class 3A Region 1, North Bay Haven is the 4 seed, and they will be hosting the 5 seed in Maclay. And then South Walton in the 4A Region 1 will be hosting Paxton, the 8 seed. Shout out to Sam Granville for sharing those on Twitter. Does a great job covering our local sports here, and really appreciate all that he does. Gulf Coast Softball, they're hosting LBW tomorrow at 12 p.m., and then they'll be taking on Jones College at 5 p.m. Right now, they're playing Jones College over there at Gulf Coast College softball field. I think that's Tom King softball field. So y'all go check that out. I'm going to be headed there as soon as the show is over to try to catch the last few innings there. And then Gulf Coast Baseball, the Visit Panama City Beach College Baseball Classic over there at the Public Sports Park. Gulf Coast took on Pearl River today, and they got the win 2-1. Byers recorded 12 outs. Rojas had 3 innings, gave up 0 hits, and he struck out 3 along the way. And then Baucom went 2 for 3, had a home run and 1 ribby to go along with that. Well, it didn't really go along with that because he hit himself in. He was the run batted in. The championship game for that tournament is going to be Sunday at 2 p.m. Isaiah Rogers, this is not local any longer. Isaiah Rogers says that he made bets for others. This is the cornerback for the Colts who was suspended for gambling. I believe they hit him with either indefinite or 2 years, but he said at the end of the day, he did say that he made these bets for others, but he said at the end of the day, I knew the rules. I wasn't supposed to do it, and I got to take what comes with it. So I think I don't know if he's saying that he made these bets for others to maybe, hopefully, when he appeals the suspension, gets the punishment is less harsh, or if he really did make these bets for others and he's still owning up to it and saying, regardless if I made them for others, I knew what I was doing was wrong at the point in time. And so he's got to take the punishment. At the time of his suspension, ESPN reported that he had placed more than 100 bets, including, and this is where it gets dicey, guys. I mean, just in general, I think pro athletes betting in general is on their sport. It can get a little convoluted there, but it is what it is. I'm not the gatekeeper or the ruler when it comes to that. But most of them, this is where I believe that he really was doing this for his family and friends. Because one, he's doing this in Indiana where it's legal. His family and friends are from Florida, where at this point in time, the Hard Rock Sports Bet app was not legal. It wasn't even available to use. And most of the bets were in the $25 to $50 range. You know what I mean? And they're trying to do crazy parlays. You know what a parlay is, right? Where you're stringing together, you got like 4 or 5 bets. The odds increase at that point. You've got to hit all 5 of those bets or whatever number. And if so you could take $25, place it on 5 games. So it's still just $25 covering all of those games. If you miss one of them, you lose. But if you hit all of them, you know that $25
that does sound fun.
Well, yeah. It can be. But one wager in particular stood out. There was a $1,000 prop bet on the over-under on rushing yards by Jonathan Taylor, who is the Colts running back, and he did end up winning that bet. Isaiah Rodgers did. But he said that report is true with it being $1,000, but that report wasn't made from my device, he told ESPN. The $25 to $50 bets are exactly true, but it was more crazy leg parlays with just $25 trying to make a crazy amount. Just funny bets, nothing too serious. It was never, this bet here is going to change my life. But then the way that kind of sounds right there is you were making those bets because you didn't say change their life, you said change my life.
Oops.
I don't know. I'm not... We'll just find out what we find out as we get closer. The Commanders ended up hiring Dan Quinn. I think that is interesting. And then earlier this morning, they get rid of Eric Bieniemy. Chip Kelly looks to be the favorite there for the offensive coordinator job. I really do feel bad here I don't know if I feel bad. How many years can you be in the run for a head coaching position? And we can't blame it on color anymore with Eric Bieniemy. We can't do that. We've seen a number of coaches being hired on that. So there's got to be something going on, and then to be let go from that OC position there for the Commanders. I don't know, man. We'll see more about that. But Commanders hiring Dan Quinn is funny. We'll see. It makes that Cowboys Commanders dynamic storyline just a little bit better. But that's going to do it for us this afternoon. You guys have been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got some college basketball starting at 2:30 tomorrow, Houston and Kansas. Following that is going to be Auburn and Ole Miss. Keep it locked in. Paul Feinbaum's coming up next. Coach James Hale Show, Monday from 7 to 9. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Friday's weather forecast. Clear tonight with a low near 48 and a wind 1 to 5 miles per hour. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and a temperature of 63. A bit warmer in the afternoon and evening around 65 with some clouds and a wind coming out of the south-southeast at 10 miles per hour. Quite warm with a high around 61 and raining very heavily Sunday. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at